Matt's Piper.
He let you wear that?
Yep. Sweet.
Sweet. Yeah, obviously a big, and I mean literally big, signee to announce, and Kofi's a guy that haven't been able to talk about until now, and he's a great piece to our puzzle, and he's a very gifted young man. If you look at his measurements from where he was at out at the global games, you see a 7 foot, 300-pound guy with 7'5", 7'6" wingspan. You see a guy that is very, very big hands, and a guy that is unique in terms of that size. He is extremely athletic, can really run, and has continued to improve. Obviously playing for Steve at Oak Hill, one of the elite programs in the country. Steve has done a great job of developing him and continuing to enhance his skill set. And then he was blessed that he got to play with very good perimeter players there as well, and played at a high level. He's played against the best of the best, and that experience will pay off for him as he enters our program and has to endure the night in, night out of Big Ten play and the physical size. So we're obviously very excited. He'll be in June, and let Fletch start working with him a little bit, and we get on the court June 10th with him, and first day of summer school, and it's perfect timing as we have the foreign trip this summer to Italy, so we'll get 10 official practices and 3 or 4 games over there. So it's a nice blend, and it's a guy that is ready physically to play in the Big Ten, and that really excites me.
Brad, how do you see him fitting in the rotation and working with the other bigs that you already have?
Well, I think it's to be determined a little bit, but I think there's no doubt that we were not a great rebounding team this year, which was a point of frustration for me. I think it's something that he adds. There's no doubt about that. I think that we'll be able to do some things differently with Georgie in terms of Georgie's got some other aspects of his game that we can expand on in terms of his ball handling, his passing, where we could play those guys possibly together. I think a guy like that demands so much space obviously becomes an imposing figure on the defensive end. So if you play he and Georgie together, now you've got some legitimate size, and that helps protect the front of the rim.
Have you had somebody this big with this caliber before, and does it change much of your system? Because you talked before about being able to play small and win.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's I haven't had that big. I don't think many people had. I should probably call Dale Brown at LSU and see how that was coaching, Shaq. But I think you make the proper adjustments. The thing that I love about him is he can really run, and he's a guy that's not a cumbersome, heavy-legged guy. He's a really good athlete, and we may tweak a few things, but systematically, I think we pretty much stay with what we're doing. And he's very capable in pick and rolls. He's very capable of beating people down the floor, and that's all things we like to do.
Besides size, what do you think a front court tandem of Georgie and Kofi can bring?
Problems. I hope a lot. I think you're talking about 2 guys that are very skilled, and I've said this all along. I think one of Georgie's best attributes we didn't see this year, and that was his ability to pass. That was one of the things that I was so intrigued with when I saw him, was his passing. Georgie played with a hurt thumb a lot this year. It affected his shooting. He's a better shooter than what he has shown. Kofi is an excellent passer. as well. So I think, you've got some different things that you can do on the offensive end with both of those guys. Plus they're both set good screens. We know about our perimeter play, and Kofi on a pick and roll getting to the rim is going to set a great screen, and he's going to demand attention on his rolls. So that makes those little things have a tendency to make everybody better.
Brad, you mentioned that he is a good fit piece to your puzzle. How's he fit into this? What do you want to do with the 7 seconds of offense going down and shooting?
Well, that's one of the things we like about it, because he can really, really run, and you've got to respect him running the court and putting his head at the front of the rim, or you've got to respect him with his ability to set a ball screen and roll. So, I'm excited about that. I think we were about 24 points a game and under 7 seconds this year. I expect that number to go up because we'll be a better defensive rebounding team with him as well. And he's a guy that routinely makes outlet passes to half court, so that can help everybody involved.
How is he with the intangibles, the work ethic, and being a good teammate, all those things that I know coaches value so much?
Well, you don't play for Steve Smith unless you have that. There's a reason that he's maybe one of the all-time winningest boys basketball coaches in history. I mean, and the great players that he's had have all gone on to achieve great things at the next level because of being under his tutelage. And those are all things that Steve demands a lot. They're fundamentally very sound, sure. And I think all those things will help him translate here.
A lot of times when a freshman comes in, we can see right away what Fletcher's going to do. He's going to try to make him bigger and stronger. What's he do with Kofi?
Yeah, I think one of those things that we've talked about is more the conditioning side of things. I think it'll be interesting to see what his body comps come back in terms of his body fat percentage. He's not in any way, shape, or form fat. He's just very, very big, and conditioning will be a big challenge. I don't think he's a guy that we're going to shy away from in the weight room. I think we'll continue to work on maybe leaning him up and then conditioning. But he's got a great frame and a great structure to start from, and that helps.
What's the aspect of his game that might be the most Big Ten ready, and what's an area you might have to work on a little bit this summer?
Well, I think we want to get him ready offensively. I think that there's no question he's got great hands. He's a guy that's a very, very capable scorer. We'll want to clean some of that up in terms of he's got a jump hook. We want to make sure he goes both ways equally well and do that. But physically, he's so unique that it allows him to play right away. I mean, you see 22, 23-year-old grown men who've been in the league 3 or 4 years that have that kind of physicality. That alone is going to allow him to play that way. And then he's, like you said, his athleticism will help in that as well.
You mentioned Shaq. Is there anybody else that comes to your mind in terms of who this guy reminds you of, looks like? Is there anybody? I don't think I've ever seen a guy in the Big Ten like this size.
I haven't either. I'll
Right.
be honest. There's a guy that is. I've said it since the first time I saw him. He's unique, just because of that size. He's still relatively green in terms of experience playing the game, but to have that combination of size and athleticism and speed is very, very rare, and it's something that I haven't seen a lot of. I said, we saw a big kid at Texas, Dexter Pittman,
Right.
When I was an assistant, but Dexter was heavier. This kid's a sleek body, and he'll fill out a uniform and look good in it.
Could he be a guy that the rest of the Big Ten's going to go, oh God, is that kind of what you want?
Well, I don't think we should lose sight that he is a freshman.
Right.
And there's going to be some learning curve, as there always is, no matter how he looks. He's still a freshman. I hope that becomes the case. I think natural progression. I think this summer is extremely important, and that's why I'm excited about our foreign trip, is that you see those changes and growth, and maybe he can expedite the learning curve a little bit because of that trip. But yeah, I mean, it's not every day you get a freshman that's physically that ready to be able to play at a major college basketball game.
What do you
He
think
had
was?
some- He had some options to go play. What do you think kept him committed to Illinois? It seemed like the recruiting process was fairly smooth, low drama. Maybe.
Yeah, right.
I don't know if that exists. I think there's a few things. I think Orlando Antigua did a fantastic job. I've got a great staff. I was one of the top assistant coaches in the country. He goes back to his New York ties that he's had and relationships that go back, 20 plus years, and that's what it comes down to so often is relationships and connections, and then I think it's opportunity. And when you put those things together, he came in on his visit. He talked a lot about how he loved the family atmosphere. He loved the locker room and the guys in the locker room. Guys like Io and Trent, helped sell that, and and then it's it's an opportunity for him to come in and really kind of make a mark. And but Orlando was terrific, and his relationships, helping that a great deal, and I got to give a lot of credit.
Brad, he didn't see a very good game, necessarily speaking, when he was here on his OV. Was there anything you remember about that locker room that, considering the outcome of the game?
I've tried really hard to forget about that game. That ended up being a great night, but it was, it's one of those things that happens. And again, I think it could have been one of those things that he saw the opportunity. But the best thing that happens for recruits, win or lose, as we did that night, we got beat, but he saw that arena and that electricity, and then he watches other games and sees the Michigan State court storm, and he sees that every night in terms of what the State Farm Center is like, and that's one of our best recruiting attributes is that building full.
Your fans are going to be fired up. Do you want to kind of temper that a little bit, or are you fine with that? They're going to be excited.
Should be.
Okay, that's what
It's Illinois basketball.
Okay.
It's should have expectations.
Okay.
We should have excitement. We should, this is we've had a great spring. We finished yesterday, and these guys are all working extremely hard, and that locker room persevered through what was a really tough season. And last half of the season, or half of Big Ten play, we were a good basketball team, and we got better, and now we should expect more. And when you continue to see hard work that goes on out here, and you add a piece that is capable of helping grow that as well, I always temper freshmen.
Sure.
To a certain extent, but the excitement level of our fans and of our coaching staff is in a good place, and we should expect to be a good basketball team.
You added a big personality in Georgie, and Iowa's a really good guy. What's this guy like personality-wise?
You'll enjoy him. You'll enjoy him. He's a cut up. He's funny. He's got. That's why he's such a good fit for myself, for our team, for what I want our locker room to be about. He is a guy with personality. I wouldn't put anybody in Georgie's category. That's really hard to do, but
Sure.
but he's very similar. And the one thing that I go back to his visit, and he's sitting at my house, and everybody was downstairs. He was upstairs, and he sat down and carried on a conversation with my wife and two daughters.
Oh, wow.
And to have that level of comfort in who you are and your identity, that's important. You guys will all enjoy him, as he's a fun-loving kid, but he's got a very competitive side as well.
Did you hear any of that talk? That would have been interesting to hear. Or get a recall?
I don't remember it, but it impressed my wife, so that was good.
Of course it's early, but where do you just think Kofi is defensively in terms of defending ball screens or just instincts in general?
Oh, there'll have to be some improvement there. There's no doubt. Again, you played at the highest level, in which he has at Oak Hill, but there's still adjustment. There's a learning curve, and there's new terminology and those things. That's why this summer becomes so important. But you're talking about a guy who can move. You're not talking about something that just sticks out that he can't do because of lack of physicality or lack of quickness. He has a lot of the attributes that allow him to do different things. So, and then when he walls up and puts both hands up, you've got a guy that is very capable of protecting the rim, blocking shots. He can go get shots at the top of the square and rebounds as well. And those are things that we need him to be and be a big part of what we try to anchor defensively.
When you talk about conditioning, is that kind of part of it, is him being able to stay in front of those quick guards on ball screens or just stuff like that?
Yeah, and I think it's a part of anything that happens with a freshman. They think they've been in shape, and they realize that they're never really been in shape. So, I think it's just a natural progression. It's a natural thing to happen, and we've got the best strength coach in the country, and Adam Fletcher, and Fletch is chomping at the bit to get working with him as well as our other guys, and you'll see a different group walking around because of the improvements they've made with Fletch, and we'll see those same things with Kofi.
And we've kind of heard the stories when you saw Georgie for the first time in person. What do you recall about seeing Kofi for the first time? Was there any one or two plays he made that really kind of stuck with you?
Well, it wasn't plays. It's just I think I told Orlando, he's just so unique. There's nobody else like him in the country. You can talk about the best centers in the country, and they're good in their own ways. And yet, 7 foot, 300 pounds, and run and mobile like that, there's just weren't any of those. And that becomes intriguing. That gets exciting when there's not somebody like. There's a bunch of 6'5" guys, or there's a bunch of 6'8" guys. There's not many like him, and that becomes exciting. And the more you watch him, the more you see how unselfish he was, and what a good teammate he was, and you saw his personality. You start accumulating all those things, and they became real positives, and that's why we're at every game throughout the course of the last year and a half. On the AAU circuit, we didn't miss one. So again, Orlando deserves a lot of credit, and we were excited about all those things.
When you had Oscar here for his OV, did you already know that Kofi was sort of a lean, likely?
No.
And have you heard Kofi pronounce his last name?
I have. Yes.
Does he pronounce it, for example, like Bruce Cockburn?
Yeah, with a Jamaican accent.
Okay, good.
You signed Io, you signed Kofi. How have you raised the bar in terms of the recruits that you're signing now and bringing in, and how does that help you on the court?
Well, I think the great players, and Io started that, and you can look at Trent with the year Trent had, and great players want to play with other great players. They also want to do it in an environment where there's passionate fans and in a conference that is the best of the best. And obviously the Big Ten was the best conference in the country this year. And being able to play a style of play that is fun and exciting, people enjoy that. And Illinois basketball, I keep saying it over and over, is one of the best programs in the country. And I'm never going to look at it any differently than that. And we should be out recruiting some of the best players in the country. And but they have to fit. And those two guys are great fits for where we're going. And we just want to keep stacking those classes with great talent and the right pieces. And we saw a young guy in IO perform at an extremely high level, and we think Kofi is a guy that is capable of those same things and that same growth. So I'm excited as heck about the job our staff does in terms of not just recruiting, but the evaluation pieces of understanding what I like and what fits, and how we're putting those pieces together, and makes you get excited about this team.
Still
know
more
we're
to
6
come
months.
personnel-wise this spring?
We'll see. Yes, I don't think you ever say we're done. I don't think today's world. I haven't looked at the portal since about 10 a.m. this morning, so I don't think you ever say that you're done. I think you keep on looking for the right pieces, and I got guys I can't talk about, but yeah, we're moving in a positive direction.
So you're expecting or hoping for a few more?
We're always keep recruiting.
You still recruiting in January?
So keep recruiting.
Have
I can't talk about
You can't
guys.
say
I
you-
can't talk about guys.
There's no guy.
Brett, we know
Anthony
you.
Higgs.
We know you can count. We all understand that. How have you taken this aggressive approach, knowing the limits you have scholarship-wise right now?
Yeah, I think there's 13 guys on scholarship will be there, as you know, and I think it's always a process in terms of there's so many options out there today with the NBA, with guys declaring, with guys, and you just don't stop recruiting. And I don't think any program in the country, they can say they've stopped and they're done, but they're not. And today there's some of the best programs in the country had guys leave today. And you just can't afford to ever put yourself in a position where you don't recruit. No matter what you think your scholarship total is, it's not about that today. And you have to stay on it. And we were out evaluating and looking at guys here last couple of days, and we're out this weekend in an evaluation period for the 20 kids and 21 kids, and it just never stops. So we're continuing to monitor every position and every player that we think can possibly help Illinois basketball.
Does that
6
coffee make you sleep a little bit better now?
It doesn't make me sleep worse.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you feel good about You feel good
Gotcha.
about the right pieces when they're being added. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, on that note, we're still more than 6 months away from the season opener, but at least one Big Ten writer already considers you guys the second best team in the Big Ten. What's your reaction to that kind of thing, given that
Good.
you say that expectations can be high for this team?
Good. Preseason stuff is obviously it's a long ways away. But guys, if you ever think I'm going to run away from an expectation, I've been fortunate to be picked first a bunch, and those challenges are different. And you know what? Illinois basketball should have expectations, and they should have high expectations. And Josh brought me here to have expectations and to turn this around. And if you guys haven't figured me out yet, that's who I am. I mean, we're going to do it our way and the right way, and we're going to do it with guys that fit. But I know how good this program is, and I know how good it can be, and we're not going to shortcut any steps to get there. But if somebody thinks we're that, I got to think Michigan State was probably one. But absolutely, why not? We beat them this year.
Do you have any update on Anthony Higgs? Is he healthy? Is he
No, he's still not been cleared medically, fighting a foot. So at this point, that's all we can talk about with Anthony.
kind of alluded to it earlier, but you see Georgie play a lot more from the perimeter when him and Kofi are sharing the court.
Well, I'm never going to take Georgie's strength away from him just to say, hey, I think we need to play you on the perimeter. He's capable of playing on the perimeter, and I think there'll be a nice mix. I hope. Again, chemistry, those things. You know, we have all summer to continue to work on those things. But I think you can see Georgie out there a little bit, and you know, he's very capable.
Do you have an idea where Samba fits into all that?
We'll see. I mean, he's a young man that's made major improvements. You know, he was a young guy who wasn't with us at all last summer. The off season has been great for him. Just adding strength, just adding being able to do fundamental routine things every single day in our workouts, and those things continue to improve. And Samba's a quick learner. He gets better every day.
Thanks, Brad.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks a lot.
Absolutely.